Good morning. Good morning. How are you doing?
Thank you, Desmond.
Happy International Women's Day.
Amazing.
Happy
Thank you for
International.
having me.
Thank you so much for joining me. And next we have another phenomenal. So I have so many questions for you, sir. We are joined by the Deputy Imam of the Ojodu Abiodun Central Mosque. That is the person of Imam Abdul Ghani Jimo. Good morning, sir. Thank you so much for joining
Thank
us.
you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
What am I supposed to say,
We'll
sir?
say, we'll say wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you so much. And finally, but not least, we are also joined by Ambassador Ogunshola Michael, who's the team lead for Sage Lagos. So we're going to like I said, we're going to talk about the different themes. So these three areas: business, religion, and politics, they affect all the collective. And I was in a conversation. I happened to be in a conversation that ran wild yesterday. When we were talking, it was an IWD conversation for women. A lot of women were in the panel, and then a man also was on the panel, and we're having conversations. And the room ran wild when the man said, "Women, he doesn't see anything like gender inequality. That he feels like everybody, like all this is just a jamboree." And the whole room ran mad. Like this was a room filled with first ladies. This was a room full with people in bank of industry. One of the leading banks had her chairman, her chairman there. So the room went crazy. But what are your thoughts about the conversation of gender inequality? Do you think it exists, or do you think it's just a conversation that people want to have in the month of March? So I'll start with you. So let's
Wow.
go.
Happy International Women's Day across the world to all ladies and to everyone that has ladies, the female gender in their fold. Well, of the truth, by the United Nations, today's the CS team as the best. Hashtag break the best.
Mhm.
If there exists no inequality among the genders, will there ever be anything called bias? Of course, it might be a school of thought, belief that there is inequality, there is this, there is that. But let's just face the truth ourselves. In this very society, in this very community we are, in this very country that is Nigeria, our own constituency, we can always see it is an open truth that there is inequality between the men and the women. Between the within the political space, there's serious inequality. Number one, to start with, at the federal aims of power, how many women do we have in stake? How many in the legislative house? We have just less than 3%. Less than 3% women participation, representation at the national assemblies, both at the Senate House and the House of Rep. Less than 3%. For crying out loud, and we are claiming to be one of the giants of Africa, and we are claiming to be the highest, the most educated country in Africa. Come to think of it, compare us with countries that are just developing around us. Compare us with countries like Tanzania, who would have 53% of women representation within their House of Assemblies. Sorry, are they good by it or not? As of today, we have countries like Cuba. You have nations across the world. Go to Germany. Are they better off or not? See the leadership of the House of Assembly in US. Of course, yes, they are below the 30% standard of the World United Nations recommendation. Are they better off it or not? As of today, we are saying women are disenfranchised. Everybody knows this. This is an open truth. I am a man. I represent the voice of the voiceless. Of course, yes, we have representatives at the end of our House of Assembly, representatives at the House of representatives at the House of at the Senate House. But as of today, we have less than 3% representing. Please, what do you think happened at the last engagement at the House of Assembly? It is because of what? There are few women at the end of affairs. That is the reason their voice was powered down by the selfish interest of the few elites. Mind you, let's get this clearly, and let's get it clearly for once. When you are talking of religion, please, can you mention any religion across the world that does not promote women participation? Number one, let me start with Islamic. Do you know Aminat in the Quran? Did she lead the war or not? Was the war successful or not? Was it won or not? Now come to Deborah in the Bible. We have Ruth. They are leaders in each of their capacity. We have Esther. They stood up for their people and they won. Coming to the tradition, you have Moremi Ajasoro of the Yoruba land. She was outstanding. She led our people and served our people. So we are the Moremi of today. Their voices have been powered down. Our president saying at a public function where the entire world, the media are there, listening clearly that the space of the women is in the other room. True or false?
Thank you so much. Pretty passionate, which is all the energy I truly need this morning. Which is why I said this is a very powerful he for she moment. Having the three of you join us to speak on the various themes, which are politics, religion, and business. But just throwing the question to you, Mr. Ido, because I have a lot of questions for the Imam. So just pushing the question to you now. You've worked. I've been opportunity to work with you previously. You've worked as a team lead for so long, and now you're building your own business as the lead of the company and doing all of that. Do you see this inequality? Do you recognize it in the workplace? And do you somewhat allow for these biases to play out? And how do you negotiate that bias in the workplace?
All right. So thank you. Thank you to the station. Happy International Women's Day to everyone out there. The truth is, a world without women is unimaginable. Okay, so I mean, the value of women in the world is, clearly understated. Thank you also to Mr. Michael for that energy. That energy is infectious.
I love it too.
In the business space, in the economic space, I do agree that there is imbalance. I do agree that there is gender imbalance. In my own personal career journey, I to have come across a certain right where the author described a certain research that was conducted, and it was discovered that in the business space, there was a direct statistical correlation established between companies that championed gender balance, balance between opportunities across the genders, and the leadership of those companies. When those companies are led by men, they found that statistically, most of them had standardized that data set. We can talk about that for a long. We can standardize that data set. We can talk about that for a long time. Obviously, there's something in that nugget that tells us that women folk are definitely important. My personal perspective to gender balance is not to try to actively reverse the trend, okay, to establish that there is a gender imbalance, not to the favor of the women, okay? But I don't think that the way to fix that is to try to reverse it. I think the way to fix it is to establish systems, and these systems may be processes, they may be recruitment processes, they may be promotion processes. We're talking about workspace. They may be, training selection processes. Those things should be possible. It's important to state the distinction between creating systems that are blind and deliberately trying to reverse a trend. Deliberately trying to reverse a trend, in my opinion, will create in a few years the exact inverse of what we have right now. And then some people will start to champion and say all the opportunities have gone to women. We've started to hear those kinds of things from places like the US and some other Western countries. So US and some other Western countries. So my personal opinion, and this is what I advocate for, or should pay particular attention to the design of their systems, right? So if, for instance, you find that traditionally, historically, your recruitment process had a certain lopsided, trait in favor of the men, of the male gender. Is there, can you carry out experiments? Can you carry out experiments to find out what is the reason for that? Is it because the tone of the messages suggests something in a certain, subliminal language to the audience that repels, a certain gender?
917 917. So, sir, what is most important about religion, and why I've noticed in a lot of people in my age bracket are somewhat having a disconnect with religion, because some people claim it ties them down. Some people claim that they're not willing to move the times. So would you agree that religion, maybe putting in context, your own personal religion, has held down women, and how can we advance the conversation, and how can religion play a part in advancing conversations around a sustainable tomorrow around gender equality?
Okay, once again, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and happy Wednesday.
Thank you so much again.
Actually, if you are talking of religion, especially Islam as a religion, it's before the advent of Islam, before the prophethood of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Arabs were known to be maltreating women to the extent that they counted them as relevant objects in society. They even went to the extent of killing children, female children, because they were not regarded as anything. They only focused on the male child. But when the Prophet ﷺ came up, it was the Prophet that stopped that through the revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that every soul is very important, irrespective of the sex. Therefore, it was Islam that emancipated women. It gave them the sense of belonging that they are also relevant, they must be cared for, irrespective of their sex, as I said earlier. Therefore, Islam as a religion, women in the society, there are a lot of verses in the Quran Karim are equal before the Almighty God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It has nothing to do with your sex. When Allah was calling every soul that they should participate and worship, it does not disown. When it's calling righteous men, it calls righteous women as well, devoted women and devoted women as well. Therefore, we are all equal before God in all this ramification. As a result of this, there is no any traces in the religion that could pull down women. Yes, there's an hadith that says, when you are seeking knowledge, that seeking knowledge is compulsory on every man and woman. Therefore, it gives every opportunity to every soul, irrespective of one's sex. A woman can become anything in this world. A woman that she was into business, and was excelled, and was not, there was no any hindrance to that for her. Likewise, Aisha was knowledgeable to the extent that he was even teaching men about the knowledge of God and that of the Prophet of Allah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And many of them in such aspect, they all excel in their different field of profession. Therefore, girl child, there was this that says, if you train a boy, you've trained somebody. But if you train a girl, you've trained a nation, because it is a girl, it is that girl that will become mother of many. Therefore, Islam gives a lot of opportunity to women.
Fantastic. I hear you, which is why I have a lot of questions, and I'm really excited that you're here. So, would you say that people, just to follow up with your conversation, would you say that these things are in the Quran, in your context, in the Bible, the religion preaches these things, but why do we get a sense? Why do people get a sense that it's there? Now that you're mentioning there, this different part of the Quran that states this part, why doesn't this translate in society? Or do you think culture has influenced religion so highly that we now somewhat see that there's this sense of imbalance in the religious space?
Yes, the point was, as I've said it here, that lack of proper understanding of religion it causes a lot of problem among the Muslims. Some people practice Islam the way they understand it, not the way it should be practiced accurately, because it is the religion. It is a religion that has a code of conduct that must be followed. Therefore, if you are talking of, as I've said earlier, if you are talking of woman in Islam as a mother, there are a lot of respect that should be given to your mother. For instance, when the Prophet was asked that among your relative, who should be given the utmost respect, he mentioned mother. Then after your mother, who next? He mentioned it that it is your mother again. Until the third time, where it was the fourth time that you now mentioned your dad, to show the importance of one's mother to one's life. Likewise, we are talking of wife. Islam as a religion encourages man to take adequate care, proper care of his wife, of his wife. He should not be maltreated. He should be given the opportunity to be on his own, to have some independence that will not affect the family life as well as that of the children. Therefore, as your wife, you must take care of him, you must take care of her and give her the sense of belongings, give her the opportunity to excel in whatever profession that she has chosen. She will give her the opportunity, if she has the opportunity of owning a property. And more so, when talking of marriage, a lady should not be forced to any marriage. This is a notion that we had, that in Islam, in some places, some women are forced into marriage. That's not part of our legislation that was brought into the religion. They should have their own freedom, the willingness to choose whomever they want. And as a girl, we should take care of our female child very well, even more than a boy, because of their requests, and for them not to be influenced by bad people. Here, Islam gives women every opportunity. The only difference where we can say that there's no equality is the opportunity that was given to a man that he can marry more than one wife. If he has the capability, financial capability, emotional capability, as well as financial capability.
Exciting conversation, which is why we have a phone call. So we're just going to take it. Hello. 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 Hi. Good. Hello. Hi. Good morning. Good morning. Hi. What's your name? Hi, Lillian. Happy International Women's Day to you. We celebrate you on this very, very special day. Do you have any questions for us? Okay.
Okay, first and foremost, I want to appreciate the men that come today that are speaking so well about women. I believe if we need to improve on the way women are being treated, the men that are in authority today, they were boys. And from upbringing, we need to learn to groom our sons to have respect for women and know that women are their equals, not just how do I say? I don't know the right word to use, just like a second class citizen. I know that women have equal rights as men in this society. I want to say it has to start from the home, the family unit. That way we bring up men that have respect for women, that know the value of women in the society. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Lillian, for joining us on the radio and really, really, really powerful contribution. You can be a part of the radio show by calling the phone line, just like Lillian, 07000 917 917. And it does start from the home front, which is quite important. We're going to go back to that. And I'm going to also come back to you, sir, with a few follow-up questions. But I want to come to you, Mr. Michael. How has assumptions from men pushed the conversation of gender inequality? I ask this specifically because I was I was in the room with an ambassador who has gone all the ranks in politics, and she was just retiring, and we're just having conversations as boy and mentor. And she just said, would you believe that these men would not invite me for the meeting? I'll just hear from one of the assistants that there's a meeting. And I would go to that meeting around 2 a.m. and show up and ask them why I wasn't invited. And their response to that would be, we thought that you'd be taking care of your husband at home. But we're going to take that question after this call. Hello? Hello? Okay, that dropped. Please do call us back 07000 917 917. And you can send a text as well, 070 317 56537. The phone lines again, 07000 917 917. So my question would be, how does the assumptions of men advance this conversation of gender inequality and in the context of politics? Because we want to see more women in the polls, we want to see more women represented at the various levels, be it local government, councillorship, House of Assembly, governorship, presidency, all of that. Yep. So how can we fix that?
Well, the truth is this: men assumption about women taking the back seats when the polity or discourse that a pressing discourse concerns probably the family or the nationhood. Most time, when you notice African man, cultural and religious disposition, ab initio, no matter what, we all have in class, in school, right from day one. I doubt if there is any special or a different examination paper in public school as a case study. Even to the female, sorry, is it different from that of the male? No. And in this life, we all have the same, we have the same opportunity. Justice is to be seen, to be done. And justice must be done to mercy. Let's give equal playground. Let's give this equal opportunity. But now, when you are talking now, as in you said, when you're trying to play an example, people of the same class, quote unquote, ought to have meeting together. But they segregate, they neglect the woman, which you have to join them thereafter. Giving flimsy excuses, sorry for using this word, giving flimsy excuses. It's so disheartening and painful. Not all women sit at the back row. There are a lot of women making us proud across the world. NLC chairman today in Lagos State, TCA. She's a lady. And from our record, quote off quote, you can quote me wrong anywhere.
Quote you right.
So
I will not quote you wrong.
I just want you to note this.
Okay.
She had been the acclaimed best NLC chairman ever, state chairman ever. Even till date. Let's leave that. Opportunities when come should be shared equally, evenly. Of course, yes, the women may not have the financial strength to battle or to fight this. That is the reason. Yeah, it is. But it's not coming to a reality. Do you understand? Now we can hold, because the assumption can hold water, because we know the financial muscle giants across political terrain. So if we give them opportunity, of course, yes.
I'd like you to hold that thought while I'll take the contribution from this caller. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Joseph on the line. I'm calling from Ogun State.
Your name is Joseph from Ogun State.
Yeah.
Nice to have you,
I
Joseph.
want to ask you one question of it. My question is this: since you say God, Allah has given everybody equal rights, why women are not calling prayer in the mosque? Hello.
Why women? Can you take that question quite slowly?
I'll repeat my question. I said the Appa says God, Allah has given everybody equal right, both man and woman. I'm asking why women are not calling prayer in the mosque.
Okay. Yes, you are right. And I wanted to, in the course of our conversation, I wanted to state some rules that are restricted to men and some of the rules that are restricted to women. It's part of our religion that when it comes to leading the religious activities, it should be by a man, to be an imam. That is the rule from the onset, and that is the injunction of Almighty Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, that for someone to lead salat, it must be a man. Likewise, someone to call adhan, it must be a woman. But in the situation whereby you have only females gathering, then a woman can be the leader of that congregation to lead them in salat. This is to fight against indecency among the congregation. No institution whereby our own mode of praying, it has to do with recite some verses loudly as well as some demonstration. In institution whereby you have a woman at the front leading a congregation, bending down and raising up, you are for Almighty Allah. There may be this distractions. Looking a woman, looking at her status, that could cause distraction. And it's a laid down rules that a man should always be an imam and should be calling the azan. But in a situation whereby you have only women, then a woman can be the imam in that situation. But that's where we have some little differences. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you so much, sir. I have some questions, but I'm not going to ask it. That's why you are there listening to us. Call, and if you have any contributions, if you have any questions, please join the show. It's now 23 minutes to the top of the hour, 12. How time does fly. My goodness. But this is still Women Radio 91.7, and you can join the conversation by calling the phone line 07000 917 917. And you can also send us a text message as well. 070-317-565-37. 070-317-565-37. So just picking back off to the conversation we're having around
assumptions.
Men, and even how the role of men. Okay. So we've seen over 1 million women protest across Nigeria. And what are your thoughts on the recent rejection of the 5 gender bills for women at the National Assembly?
Very good. The truth is, it's so painful and painstaking. Seriously. Because This bill came to the floor of the House of Representatives on the 25th May 2018. First, it was sponsored by a female rep member who sponsored this, and it was co-sponsored, as it was co-sponsored by 117 other members, of which we have over 80 House of Rep members among them, which are men. Over 80 men who sponsor this bill. But won't it be funny to you that on the day of election, we only have less than, well, we only have about 89 people that voted on that bill. So where are the men? Where are the others? You see, when you are talking of assumptions, bringing this assumption now, you sponsor a bill, you sponsor, of course, but you don't have to reverse. You don't go to the aisle the very day the bill ought to be signed into law or passed into law. So did you see the game there? Over 80 men, I have their list, I have their name, co-sponsor these bills. Then in May last year, that was 2021, at Marriott Hotel in Ikeja. Sorry for using.
No, I have your facts.
We had a convergence where the House of Assembly members, House of Rep members from Abuja came to have their legislative convergence with the people here, the whole of the Southwest. We had this very venue for discourse. Well, I led and I read the bills to both the House of Rep members there and the senators. Of course, most of them even jokingly told me, if you don't understand that in Yoruba, that's the women's men. That on one end. We read this thing out. Most of them supported the idea. But on the day of this very voting, what happened on the floor of assembly? People talking, as in some people saying, maybe with the females did not really lobby very well. Lobby is part of democracy, of course, as we all understand. But when we are talking of lobby, the first time that any gender bill that supports women at the floor of the assembly, creating special seats is not a problem. And that is not the first thing that will ever happen. It happened in Tanzania. It happened in Rwanda. Men, religious disposition, because this is their mindset, they have to secede. They don't want to go to the house that very day in order to cast their vote. Please, why are they voted to represent this constituency? This is so painful and it's so disheartening. Presently, as I'm talking to you, sir, the International Women's Day, normally it's the women will be celebrating themselves, this and this and this. But guess what? That 1 million women march. Presently, we are speaking as this conversation is going here. At the gate of the House of Assembly, protest. It's ongoing there. As in, was it to this end? Please, we should stop this. Men should respect the rights of women. They have their own rights too, to contribute to national discourse. They have their own rights. Opportunities. See, in Nigeria, as of today, the highest women representative we have then was around 10%, and that was 2016. In Nigeria of today, we have less than 3%. Sorry, wasn't it? Isn't it a cause for national discourse? Now they now say, okay, this is the position. Let's just create special seats. I spoke with some of the House of Rep members and the senators because I represent SAGE in Lagos. While before they passed that bill, because we did a very lot of lobbying. Funny enough, some of them are asking me, hello, am I going to sacrifice my seat for one woman? I say, no, this is not happening. This is not happening. There is special seats. When we talk of special seats creation, it's quite different from your constitutional position that you are elected to represent. Special seat is just there. Let them feel sense of belonging. That's okay, come. We are here. When there is any cause for national discourse, you know, women are so humanitarian in nature. Mind you, what is happening in Russia now? If they have enough women in the district, do you think they will sign, go ahead with war to face others? Women are so, as in, they will always contribute their own quota at the floor on the side of humanitarian. When we are talking of peacekeeping and peaceful negotiation, women are number one. What is happening in Nigeria today? Terrorism is still ongoing. Assuming we have one woman at the House of Assembly, at the House of Rep, at the Senate House, they would have supported the bill that, okay, come, why not let's call them for negotiation if that will be the solution. Terrorism won't persist till this very moment. Assuming we give them a level playing ground that, okay, come and voice of most people, most men that will claim to be representing the citizens. Normally, you're supposed to have town hall meeting with your constituents, right? Quarterly, or as the case may be. But as of today, how many men do all that? But I can always come. I can say this anywhere in Southwest. The few elected senators are having their own regularly. Elected female senators. They're having theirs regularly. Sorry, what happened when you watch the sitting proceedings in the House? Most of our retired, sorry for using this word, most of our retired governors, that's where they retire. They only be sleeping and dozing off on the floor of assembly. That does off. No. It's all because they know the essence, they are there. So now, let's now juxtapose this. Let's reason to this. Few women, few females that are there at the House of Assembly, that are there at the House of Rep, that are there at the Senate House, they are making us proud. Why not give them this opportunity to have a level playing ground? God gave them this opportunity as the same with men. African tradition, please take that away. Thinking if any of our traditions is archaic, if any of our tradition and that does not support that. You know, I mentioned that of Moremu then, Moremu Adashuru. Now, do you remember the history of the Aba women riots? The people, these are proudly Nigerian women that can be mentioned at any time. You have women, you have ladies making us proud. At the WTO, the DG, that's Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, Africa. We have Aminat, special advisor on humanitarian to the president. We have Aminat. We have a host of female making us proud, and they have never let us down. Please, I'm begging us, men, let's give them this opportunity, especially the House of Rep. Please, House of Rep and the Senate. Please, let's reaccommodate this bill. Let's reconsider this bill. We are begging you in the name of God to avoid stories that us.
Thank you so much. In context, these women you mentioned there's so many phenomenal women. Special shout out to Larry Bester, my producer.
Wow.
Yes. So I'm just going to move to you, Mr. Dole. I know so much energy. For you, it's why the conversation about business and finance is quite important is because of it also flows into the other sector. I put up something on my WhatsApp a few days ago about around family and how when some children start having financial independence, you start finding out that you can make certain decisions because you feel like some decisions on your own life. I'll just put that to have a conversation, but the conversation about platforms and business and having financial power, how important is that in advancing the conversation for gender equality? And you can also touch on the other themes beyond business and how can more involved.
Okay. So that's a very trying to decide which to attack first. Let me attack this question first, and then I'll go to something that I noted earlier in relation to what the gentleman Imam, he has a really nice gentlemanly voice, spoke about. So, financial empowerment for women. So think of it like this. I like to think of, perhaps from my team building experience, right? Perhaps the most important principle anybody that leads a team should always remember is that as a team lead or a team, forerunner, arrowhead, your job, at the end of the day, if you reduce everything to its bare principles, your job is to create an atmosphere of safety for everyone. In formal management disciplines or schools, it's called psychological safety. Psychological safety is the freedom, technically defined as a freedom, that every team member feels to, number one, make mistakes, number two, play around and be goofy within the context of that team. It sounds like you shouldn't be playing in an office or be goofy in an office, but it's the reverse is the case, because giving people the freedom to fail and be themselves opens up huge parts of their creativity and productivity, and can get the best out of them. Why am I mentioning this? Closely tied to the concept of psychological safety is the concept of inclusion, because if your people are not free to voice their opinions, if your people do not feel like, anytime he wants to do, for instance, anytime he wants to pick a new team lead for a short-term project, he's going to pick a man. If those sentiments are brewing in the minds of your team members, then you know that you don't have a fully functioning team. Now, this is important because any team lead that's thinking about generating revenues for their company is already sabotaging themselves if they are not creating an environment that is beyond doubt transparent, blind, and balanced. Am I so that's the reason why I went through all of that roundabout way to answer that question. What I wanted to comment on the gentleman's, and in fact I think it's both of their comments earlier, is that, again, perhaps from my business experience, one of the things that I pay a lot of attention to is framing problems right. So I'm the kind of person that it may look like I'm not taking action, but many times what I'm really doing is that I'm studying the problem to understand it well. I think that the problem here, from what everybody has spoken about, is the weaponization of religion. So if you heard the Imam talk today, you would hear so many ideas, standards that we know are not the reality. What actually happens is that there is a standard that has been defined, but there is a reality that human beings over the decades, over the centuries, have implemented. Why have they done those things? For selfish political gain. So people have taken X percentage of the standards as defined, as the Honorable Imam said. They've taken maybe 30% or 6%, okay, that favors them, and they've used those things to create political systems that have in turn create business and economic systems that have shut people out. So at the end of the day, for me, the problem is the desire to want to weaponize a system. or the desire to want to have undue advantage over other people. That's the base of this problem. And so what I would say is, if we really, really, really want to address
30
this,
seconds.
30 seconds, if we really want to address this, everybody in society should not necessarily try to lord over the next person, right? What is fair, right? If you can earn your keep, be satisfied with your keep. You don't need to, weaponize. I deliberately want to use that word, weaponize systems, right, that have been designed ideally and use them for political gain.
Phenomenal. Thank you so much, Ido Wakinde. That's why you're my Gabi. So time is fast spent. We've had this conversation for over 55 minutes. It's the Men Conversations 3.0 brought to you on the International Women's Day by Women Radio 91.7. We are Nigeria's first and only radio station for women and their families, and it's important this conversation that we've had. But I want us to is hashtag Braden Bias. But I want us to someone have like a call to action for the various themes. For the Imam, what do Mr. Edo wasn't doing like a call out, but what would you like to? You mentioned a lot of ideals. What would you like? What should we do, like a call to action moving forward, so that we can see the change in the religious space, for you in the politics space, and then we'll just round off for you with you, Mr. Ido, with the business space. So we're doing this in 30 seconds. So we should round off at exactly 11:57. Let's go, sir.
Yes, as I've said, the most about religion, about Islam. Because before you can comment also anything about this religion, you must know, have adequate knowledge of Islam. Therefore, for many Muslims, they should seek more knowledge, perspective of their sex. That's very, very important for us to know and to fear Almighty God in everything that we do.
Fantastic, Mr. Michael.
Okay, yeah. As regards the religion, I will advise men.
Politics.
I know. I will, as regards the politics, I will advise the Nigerian men to seek opinion from the United Arab Emirates if we want to look at it at the religion sector. In 2018, we have in the House of Rep, Parliament, in the Parliament of UAE, we have over 51% of women there. You can always quote me right with that. Also, now closing this, I will want the federal government of Nigeria and the leadership of this federation to respect the rights of the signed agreement that we have of international covenant against the elimination of discrimination against women of 1979. Let's respect that law. 1. 2, let's respect the African Charter 2 on the rights of women, 2003.
Fantastic.
So please, let's give an opportunity for these bills to be reintroduced to the House.
Amazing. Mr. Michael is a talker. I love it. Mr. Do.
Because politics sets it up. So he's done a very good job.
Thank you.
My attention to be a simple statement. We sometimes fall into the trap of, in 30 seconds, we sometimes men have behaved this way toward women. Women have done this tradition. But that is because somebody started that culture some decades ago. Culture is not static. We are alive today. We can chart a new future in terms of how our society, right, treats and responds to ladies, women, generally speaking, across all sectors, religious. We can be the creators of a new culture that our children will inherit.
Fantastic. Culture is not static. So many words to take away from this conversation. This has truly been powerful. A big thank you to our executive producer, Tunde Kewale Shonaya. A big shout out to my producer, Esther Laribe. A big shout out to everyone who made this possible and the engineers on duty. This has been the Men's Conversation 3.0. And thank you, Women Radio, and happy International Women's Day. My name is Desmond Ebu, doing the sign. So thank you so much. And do have an amazing afternoon. It's a minute to 12, and it's still Women Radio 91.7.
Thank you for having me.